Hi everyone, this is Mari from the Motorgraph World channel. It's been a long time. I've definitely missed you guys. Today I'm here with the hybrid Kia Carnival. Let's take a look at what has changed and also a comparison with Staria. Not that much has changed because this is, of course, the extension of the same model. However, with the facelifted version, you can see that these lamps or these lights are the same face as the other models in the Kia lineup. Other than that, you also see a grille for the hybrid models. This one is plastic and parts of it are blocked. They're not all open. Only this part right here in the middle is actually open. Other than that, really, in terms of aesthetics and design, not that much has changed. And now on the Staria side, it's the same because the Staria is also a hybrid model from the extension of the derivatives. And you can see that only small design features have changed, not that much, not enough to change the overall look of the face. So now on the side profile, again, not that much has changed in terms of design or design elements. However, one distinct feature that you do see has changed is the wheel design. If you compare the Carnival with the Staria, both hybrid models, you will find that this one, the Carnival, offers a little bit more comfort in terms of your ride because these tires are actually passenger tires that have been attached. However, for the Staria, you'll find that they are truck or freight tires. That will also add to the comfort level of your drive. So now from the backside, again, you see the same design elements that are applied to some of the other models in the Kia lineup. As you can see, the taillights, these all that are extended, and this one kind of forms a T at the back. It's all very simple. This is why I liked the Carnival. It's quite streamlined, simple. You only have the logo. And as we see a lot in the hybrid models, you actually don't see the exhaust pipes from the back. So now we've popped open the bonnet, and as you can see, it says hybrid on it. This is a combination of the 1.6 liter single turbo and the batteries. And comparing it with the Staria, they actually have the same specifications, 245 horsepower and 37.4 kilograms force meter. However, in terms of the overall weight of the car, the Staria weighs 150 kilograms more, heavier than the Carnival. This is a 9-seater Carnival, so that's why you have foldable seats at the very end. It's actually quite heavy to pull out and also to push in because there's also a spring that you need to push down on. So let me try. Pull first. And then you have to kind of push back down with the last row. And if you do that, then you will have a little bit of space for the trunk. And if we do the Mari trunk test, of course, it's quite spacious. So in terms of space, it's quite okay. However, there are some bits and pieces where I would like to nitpick because we're comparing with the same sizes and other competitor models. For example, if you're going to be using this as a trunk space, there is kind of a bump here, which makes it difficult to haul luggage in and out. Once you're hauling it out, you'll actually hit this bump right here. Compared to the Staria, which is completely flat, it's much easier to get luggage in and out. And I also see that this part is quite empty here. Of course, you can use it as storage space, but compared to other brands and other models, for example, the Odyssey, that one has a vacuum cleaner on the 4th row. It's kind of an idea that you can use. The other Pacifica from Chrysler, also if you pull on a latch on the 3rd row seats, it has a function where it not only folds the seat, but also kind of sinks it down so that you have a wider and a more flatter trunk space. So those are some ideas that could have been put into the vehicle to make life easier and more convenient for the passenger. So now I'm in the driver's seat and I've turned on the engine. This one actually has a relatively smaller battery size, so you will hear the engine kick in from time to time, a little bit more regularly and a bit more frequently than you'd expect from a hybrid model. Inside, it's quite streamlined and it's quite clean, with the dashboard, with the curved screens to put together. And you do have the basic amenities that you would expect from the Carnival. One thing, however, is this is actually positioned to be a minivan. And what's good about a minivan is that you have ample space, more than enough space that you can completely toss your bags, your phone, your water bottles. You can put everything inside and it has a place to go. However, one difference compared to other competitors from what I see in the Carnival is that you don't have a lot of idle space where you can put all your stuff. For those who are looking for space, just completely lying around and where you can toss everything, especially here on the dashboard too. Some other competitors have a place where you can just place your phone. This one necessarily does not have that. It looks more like an inside of an SUV rather than a minivan. Compared to the Staria, you can really see that the Carnival does not have a lot of idle storage space lying around. The overall design and aesthetic of the car, interior-wise, is quite clean. The materials that they've used, and also these days, there's a lot of materials that are recycled materials, either from recycled plastic or other fabric materials. And you can see that here it's a combination. And another aspect of the hybrid models, you've actually seen a lot of this function in most Hyundai and Kia hybrid models. If you actually touch the HVAC, you'll have the driver only function in order to maximize efficiency, and you're the only one in the car, then you can actually opt to be more efficient and have the driver only. So all of the HVAC will just be centered on me. And in terms of the line of sight, if you look from outside, one of the reasons why the Carnival looks quite sophisticated and nice is because of the proportion between the top part and the bottom part. The top part is not that high up. It doesn't stick out. It has a nice curve to it, and the body part is a little bit thicker. However, for the driver, because everything on the dashboard and everything else is positioned quite low, it doesn't have any hindrance of sight when you're inside. So from the driver's seat, usually because I'm quite a short person, 162 centimeters, when I adjust my seat position to whatever fits comfortably for my height, I always have a trade-off because of the steering wheel and this long screen that you have. So right now I can see the screen quite clearly, but in some models, they actually cut through. The steering wheel cuts through the screen. But for Hyundai and Kia models, they all have the same composition with the wide screen and the steering wheel, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to understand. So I've adjusted my seat position, and I also realized that the seats on this particular car, although they are leather seats and they have the perforation in the middle, the cushion in the middle part is quite soft and it's comfortable. Where you do see certain aspects that make life more convenient for passengers. For example, the C-type charging port on each of the seats in the front. You also have the center console that is a pull-out drawer method. So you have the upper layer and then the bottom layer, which gives you a little bit more room. However, other than that, you don't have that much space to put in stuff. You have one cup holder on the door trim for each side, but nothing else. Like even the holder here is almost, you know, it won't carry anything, literally. Maybe a little bit of paper, just some materials, but almost nothing. For the second row seats, you do notice that they're a little bit lower on the ground. If you're much taller than me, I'm sure that your knees would be higher up. And that would be a little bit uncomfortable for people who would have to just sit. If you especially had passengers in the third row as well, then you'd have to pull up your chair a little bit closer to the front row seats. So that would mean that you would be cramped up and the seating position is a little bit lower down. And now you do have the sunshades here. And as the other models too, you have the HVAC air vent on the ceiling part, which you can adjust. The space for the third row seats might be a little bit more narrower than the second row seats. However, you do have all of the convenience features that you have in the second row seats in the third row as well. So you have the cup holder, the charging port. The HVAC is actually right above your head, so you can adjust it. And all of the other convenience and spatial features that you had in the second row, you have in the third row. So we're on the road, and in front of us, there's the older Carnival. They've actually changed the emblem too. It's a limousine version. You can see the differences on how much sophisticated the overall design has become. At the moment, the road conditions aren't so great. These roads are part of the highway, but it's actually just very bumpy. There's a lot of construction going on. The suspension, I think, is bouncy and soft enough to absorb all of the rubble as well as the bumpiness on the ground. Now, because of fuel economy, a lot of people are looking towards hybrid models, and that's why Hyundai and Kia both have a lot of new hybrid versions coming out. Sometimes some models that are relatively new hybrids, especially if the car is a heavier car, the response is a little bit lagged. But as for this one, it's quite responsive. It's very fast to react, and it's doing a good job while adapting to the road conditions. But what I do like about the overall drive of this particular hybrid Carnival is that it doesn't really have a huge difference in the hybrid motion, whereas there are certain cars where you actually feel it kicking in, and it's quite smooth. I think the overall comfort level of the Carnival is quite high. Acceleration is good, but I believe that acceleration is the easier technology. Braking is also a key component. The brakes on this car are, let's say, that it feels that there's a little bit of resistance. So the brake feel and the brake pedal doesn't feel linear when you're stepping on the brakes. So it feels as if there's some resistance coming from the pedal. So I've turned it into eco mode right now. And with that, we have the regenerative braking function. And you can actually use the pedal shift to increase the levels. But then once you actually change the mode to sport, same paddle shift actually becomes a gear changer. Maybe not the best, but you do have some of the elements of both worlds. So I tried to accelerate as fast as I could, and as you have heard from the wheel spin, the initial torque is also quite strong and it's quite high. So I think that also adds to the overall responsiveness of the car. There were times when we were testing vehicles and I felt that I had to continuously put my foot on the acceleration pedal because it was a bit sluggish or it didn't perform as much as I wanted it to. The car felt heavy. Whatever reason, there were certain cases. However, for this one, even though it's a minivan, it's actually larger than a big size SUV. I feel that the car responds very well to whatever I'm telling it to do, and there's no fatigue or tiredness in any of the things that I'm doing while driving. It's a very comfortable and easy drive. So for now, I'm driving in any way that I want to. I was accelerating, I was decelerating, putting my brakes on the gas and then the brakes again. So driving like that we get a mileage around 12 kilometers per liter. It's fallen again to 11.8 at the moment. Previously, when we tested the vehicle, it was around 14.9 overall. The Sienna was 20.4 kilometers per liter, which is an excellent figure for fuel mileage. Whereas the Staria, when you drive on normal conditions, then you would have fuel mileage of 13.4 kilometers per liter. And that, I believe, is really due to the overall weight of the car. The Staria is definitely much heavier than this model. In Korea, there's a lot of large minivan taxis that use a Carnival and also Staria. It could be a characteristic that they're commercial taxis and that they have a lot of mileage on them. But usually the suspension and the comfort level while you're sitting in the passenger seats weren't that great for the Carnival. However, I do feel that the hybrid has a better suspension and better comfort level. For the hybrid model, I feel that it has improved somewhat. It's much more stable. The left and right there's not so much distortion when you're driving. Even when we're driving on roundabouts like this, or the roads are quite bumpy. For the passenger seats, there is one slight difference, I think, compared to Staria. The Staria is kind of like an upright vertical car or a minivan. So it feels as if you have so much space. I mean, inside, in terms of the cubic volume, I don't think that there might be that much of a difference, but it just feels like an open space when you're inside a Staria. Whereas this one, although it's a minivan, it feels as if you're sitting in an SUV. If you're being chauffeured around, I think the Staria, for a passenger's perspective, is a little bit better. While I'm driving, I actually like the Carnival better. So what did you think about our review of the hybrid Kia Carnival? If you want to drive a minivan like you're driving a large SUV, I guess the Carnival would be the one for you. Tell us what you think in the posts below, and I'll see you next time.